Hi everybody, my name is Lauren and I am the Omnivorous Bookworm. This is my first video, so I'm going to be extremely original and do the newbie tag. So, I know you might not be able to handle my radicalness here, but I really like these questions, so it's a lot easier. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? So I think, a lot of us, the reason we do it because we like books. We like to talk about books. I am from the US and I live in Mexico. So most of my day, usually if I'm talking to people, it's in Spanish. My husband speaks English and he likes to read, but not as much as I do. And of course, I talk to my son in English, but it's just nice to have people to talk to about books who are just as nerdy about them as I am. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Oh, that's fun. That's I feel a lot of pressure, that word. Let's say fun and unique. It's pretty unique to, it's not that unique, but to immigrate to another country. So you have the experience of your home country, which for me is the US. And then, I've lived 8 years in Mexico. So, that's kind of unique. And I'm not an expat. There's a difference. I'm not an immigrant. Won't get into that. That's unique. Let's see. I have a background in English and Spanish. So I have experience talking about literature in all different languages, kind of unique, I guess. And a background in, my master's is in language acquisition. So I don't know, I think that's fun. I don't know if other people think that's fun. Okay, let's move to the next thing. I think I got stuck on that one. It was a little bit too much existential crisis for me. All right, what are you most excited for about this new channel? I think just because I read a lot, and then when I have all these ideas and what I think, and people might like this book if they like this, and so I think I'm excited about talking about those things. Oh, I thought about something else that might be unique. I don't think it's that unique, but I like to read a lot. And since we live in Mexico, we live on the peso. And so I don't have hundreds of dollars to be spending on books every month. So I use my Kindle Unlimited subscription and try to find a lot of interesting books that are not as expensive. So I like to read a lot of different types of things, but I tend to read things that might not be on the sort of main path. Sometimes I read those, but I read a lot of sort of different things that are still, sometimes they're good. So I think that can be something interesting that you're sort of forced to find interesting things and that are different when you're on a reading budget. So now we'll go back to number 4. Why do you love reading? I love reading because I love to see things from a different perspective. I like to read for fun, obviously, but I also like to read, I love when you can read a book and then you've always thought about things in this way, and then they can just move it around and you're like, oh, that's so unique, that's so different, that's a new way of thinking. I love reading about people that have different life experiences than me or have different ways of being in the world. I find that fascinating when you can get into somebody's head somewhat book. Sounds a little creepy. I didn't mean it that way. Number 5, what books or series got you into reading? Oh gosh. I think when I was young, like a kid, really young, maybe first grade, the first series that I remember getting really excited about would have probably been the Little House on the Prairie books. I know those are controversial now, but as a kid, the reason I really liked them was because you got to see this child who was a real person growing up in such a different time, and life was so different. And I just found that really fascinating as a child, having such a limited life experience and seeing this child that had such a different life experience and watching her grow up and knowing that she was a real person. And obviously as a kid, I thought that like everything in the books was like 100% like real. I don't know, but that was the first series I really remember like getting excited about, and I think a teacher started reading it and I really liked it. Number 6, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Like, do you want to do a buddy read? Well, I think I would ask anybody this, like anybody who likes to read. I always find it fascinating to know when people decide to DNF or not to finish a book, because I find that really interesting because I struggle with that sometimes. And then also how they decide how to rate books, because I struggle with that too. Because I feel like, well, this book is like 3 stars, but, and I know it's all like arbitrary, but I find that really fascinating to know like how 2 people could even give very different scores, but they feel the same about the book. I mean, I don't know. I just find that really interesting to ask people in general, not just booktubers. Number 7, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I just think self-doubt, because I always have in my mind like, oh, I can't do that yet because I don't know everything, or I think that will be the hardest for me, is just to do it and then tell myself, well, you can always redo it later if you don't like it. So, yeah, I think self-doubt and like being like it's hard when you are kind of a perfectionist, but then you're kind of lazy. So that's my problem. When did you start reading? I mean, like physically reading, I guess maybe 4 or 5. And then like when I really was getting into reading, would have been elementary school. I was the kid, like I would show up at a family get together with like 3 books, and my mom would be like, you shouldn't show up with so many books. Like people think you don't want to talk to them. I'm like, I don't want to talk to them. I'm better now. But yeah, like if I had a Kindle as a kid, I would have been, you wouldn't have seen me for days. I was really, and I think it was, it was because I was an only child. I think that was a lot of it. And like I'm visually impaired, so, and outside I see worse. So I wasn't like the kind of kid who wanted to go outside and play. But I liked learning things, and I like people. So I really enjoyed, and I grew up in like a very, very white bread suburban neighborhood. And I hated it. I thought it was so boring. And so I loved reading books about kids who lived in other countries or from other times, like I said before. So I think that was a lot of it, was just getting out of my own life and getting out of my own head was much more interesting to me. Where do you read? Anywhere. Like, I don't have a specific place. Where? I mean, in a chair, in the bed. I don't like to lay down. I don't know. With the Kindle, I can lay down easier, but I don't find it very comfortable. I usually like to just sit up. But I mean, you can sit anywhere. So, let's see. Number 10, what kind of books do you like to read? Well, I mean, I'm in the Omnivorous Bookworm, so I will read any kind of book. I mean, genre-wise, I don't limit myself. I used to, but I don't anymore. Maybe there's some subgenres I might be less inclined, but I'll try anything, any type of book. The things that I really love to read, just I really like character-driven books, books that but still have an interesting plot. I don't like it when they're just like navel gazing. I don't like that. But I like books that just get you into somebody else's headspace, get you into, I like characters that you just really like them, even if you don't like what they're doing, or you not even like them, but you just enjoy being with them, or you really hate being with them, like whatever. You have some emotion when you're with them. But sometimes I just like to read for fun, like I said. Sometimes you just want when you're having a bad day. Like I really love to read cozy mysteries for that reason. I love cozy mysteries because you have an interesting plot. Usually you have an interesting character. You have something that happens, and you're always going to have justice. Like the bad guy's always going to get caught, and everything's going to be okay until the next murder. So, in a world where we don't have justice, it's just sometimes it's really nice to have those. And so I like cozy mysteries for that reason. I feel like whatever type of book, I might read it for a different reason, but that I still enjoy it. If it's well written and then I like it. What does your book collection look like? So I have a lot of physical books still at my mom's house in the US from 8 years ago that I haven't, thankfully she's kept them for me, but I haven't been able to get rid of them. But then I haven't been willing to actually ship them because it's a lot. So partly because of that, because I don't want to have just physically a lot of books, and also because I do have trouble seeing, that it helps me to read on Kindle. So all my books are here on my Kindle. Let's see, right now I'm reading, what am I reading right now? I always forget the name of this book. Oh, The Culmination of Everything by Christina Jones, which is a romance. And then next I'm going to be reading, what's it? A Dead Gin in Cairo by P.J. Clark, which is a short story. And then I think, I found on Kindle Unlimited some Octavia Butler, which I was very excited to see. So I'll be reading that afterwards. So that gives you kind of a taste of different things that I like to read. And I believe that is all of the questions that we have on here. There was 11 questions. Yep. So it was really great to make my first video. Thank you for the 10 people who will watch it. No, it's true. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.